Today, July 25th, was the day that Florida Commerce told us all of the homes in the program would be complete. They told us that in a sit-down interview here at the station just a few months ago. Now that will not be the case. The new deadline, December 31st, that's 6 more months. And we've also exclusively confirmed the contractor, IEM, will not be seeing the project to the finish line. A conversation.
I'm so tired.
With frustration.
Frustrating is probably not an adequate word, but I can't come up with one that you could put on TV right now.
Desperation.
And challenges that we have to endure are dire.
And at times,
there are no words for it.
All those taking part in the Zoom call, recipients of Rebuild Florida's Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program.
They've been making promises to us since, for 4.5 years.
The promises, they say, were put into the contracts where they believed the process would only take months. But as 10 Investigates has showed you, some are either still waiting on their new homes.
I have an empty lot sitting with no mobile home on it.
Or waiting for renovations to be complete.
I harass them with emails every single day. That's all I can do.
The contracts were overseen by the state vendor, IEM, the disaster recovery business that won a $250 million contract to oversee the rebuild program.
We'll put both of you guys right here.
In May, Florida Commerce told us that they had withheld a couple $2 million after IEM did not meet certain deadlines to complete projects. 10 Investigates has now learned that as of July 25th, IEM's contract ended, the company sending a statement that said in part, "We are proud to have served the people and families of Florida and to have fulfilled our contractual obligations."
They don't understand the blood, sweat, and tears that all of us have put in.
For those on this call,
We don't have our home.
they believe their projects are far from over
I don't know what to do, and there's still repairs that need to be done.
as they continue to wait for rebuild.
No one's interested in holding anybody accountable.
Still waiting, and we did reach out to the Florida Commerce, but have not heard back. Again, the wait has been extended until December 31st. I spoke to one woman who's been in a hotel since 2021. Think about that, 3 years. She's being told her home should be complete in September. But with all of this, we'll just have to wait and see. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates. Homes were supposed to be done by the end of July.
This has been life-changing.
The deadline has passed.
I thought, okay, 2018 would be done by 2019 somewhere. Never in a million years did I think that this was going to be 6 years later.
I'm sorry we ever got involved with Rebuild Florida. No excuse for how long it took.
There's no oversight. They don't care. It's not their money. They didn't earn it. They're not going to live in this house. Nobody's coming to oversee and see how it's being done.
The distress that I have been through, that so many people have been through who signed up for this program, no way, no way. I get so emotional. You feel like you have nowhere to really go, nowhere to call home.
This is taxpayers' money. The state of Florida has to show that they're being responsible, not to mention the obligation you have to the homeowners that you're trying to help. The last thing they need is more stress and anxiety from a program that's supposed to be helping them.
From 10 Tampa Bay, keeping you informed, prepared, and connected. 10 Investigates takes you on a road trip showing you how hundreds are still waiting for rebuild.
So I'm not sure how I'm going to measure his quarter.
This is
Oh, more of my cooking stuff, the rice and stuff, but not my cups. Okay. I'm going to say a prayer over this.
it's I've been eating and drinking it.
Life can be a slow journey.
Let's give these a good mix.
But Mary Simpson,
I'm going to put a little extra cheese. Hunter, come on. Mama's home. Yeah! It's excitement! I'm coming home. I said, with or without beds, I'm coming home.
never thought this season would take this long.
We just wait.
The Simpsons were one of 4,000 families who signed up for Florida's Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program. The state allocated $480 million of federal money it received to repair or replace homes damaged in the 2017 storm.
When it comes, it comes.
Mary says the following year, they were approved for a brand new home. But there were continuous delays, month after month, year after year. No workers, no home, until this spring.
Judy? Are they here for the trailer, Judy?
6 years later.
It's emotional to finally say I got a home. I got my own bathroom. I got my own kitchen. Everything is mine. I'm not in a motel.
In May, the Secretary of the Florida Department of Commerce, Alex Kelly, told us the hundreds of families still waiting should see the finish line by the end of July.
The job is to manage those cases, and the job is to get the homes completed and repaired, no matter how challenging it may be.
Yet, another missed mark.
We are definitely in Miami.
Across the state,
Oh, here it is. Just up here.
more than 200 families still wait.
So this is home.
Yes,
This mom of four has been living in a hotel room.
this is home for us. This is my son's little area. Over here is my daughter's area. He's a little more together than she is, believe it or not. He's a little more organized.
Katoya Wright says she initially signed up in 2018. Then 3 years later, she got her official paperwork from Rebuild Florida.
They told us 6 months to a year.
Waiting 6 years for her home, time feels like it's at a standstill.
It's really hard, because they're kids. So you don't want them running, you don't want them talking too loud. I get so emotional talking about the holidays, the birthdays. It's all spent here, and so you feel like you have nowhere to really go.
10 Investigates spent nearly a year going over the program's contracts. From Katoya's to Jane Moore's in Tampa to Brenda Hughes in Clearwater, what we uncovered? Questionable contractor spending, scope of works doubling, tripling, even quadrupling. At one point, the former Secretary of Economic Opportunity even reached out to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, saying there wasn't enough money to complete all the homes.
It's taxpayers' money.
We sent our findings to the Project on Government Oversight, a nonpartisan watchdog group.
I'm shocked that a project of this size, in terms of dollars, in terms of households that are being addressed, has a single public audit of 7 properties.
Sean Moulton says that Rebuild needs to do a better job at watching the bottom line.
It is simply insufficient when it comes to real robust oversight, which is what's needed here.
And then there are the mounting hotel bills. Mary Simpson stayed in a hotel for almost a year. Jane Moore says she and her partner were in a hotel for 433 days. For Katoya Wright, it's been 3 years.
That is necessities for right now, and that's kind of all you can fit in here.
So how much is all of this costing? Katoya's room averages $120 a night. You multiply that by just 30 days, the state is paying over $3,000 a month for the rights to stay here, all while the state refused to allow them to just rent a home. A quick look at what's available in their neighborhood is far below the cost of a hotel stay.
It's 4 bedrooms, and so it's supposed to be 2 full baths.
The Wrights met us in their neighborhood to see the construction. They're now told their new home should be completed by October.
Katoya.
Hey, Katoya. Hi, how are you, Senator Jones?
We also had State Senator Chevron Jones meet us there. Katoya's home is in his district.
The state, we owe her an apology. I also think we owe it to these individuals to follow through on what we said that we were going to do. And the fact that she's been in this predicament for 7 years, it falls on the state.
When 10 Investigates reached out to Senator Jones, we sent him the same email we sent to every single senator in Florida, asking about the delays in the multi-million-dollar state-run program. Those that got back to us all said they were unaware.
How is that possible that this went on for so long and
no lawmaker is aware of this.
You know what's crazy? If we don't hear from the constituents and they don't share that this is happening, now that I know, now we're going to do something about it.
2 days after this interview, Senator Jones sent this letter to Secretary Kelly, an urgent request for an audit of the Rebuild Florida contract with IEM. That's the third-party contractor that won a $252 million deal with the state to oversee all of the rebuild projects. When we reached out to IEM back in May, they refused to do an on-camera interview and answer questions. Instead, a PR agency sent us this video of CEO Brian Kuhn.
We won't be satisfied until we have resolved every possible unsettled problem.
Sure. The request that went into the president today will have 3 components.
10 Investigates learned Kuhn was the former director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management when Hurricane Irma hit. Now, he's CEO of the company that even Secretary Kelly says is falling short.
If our contractor signed off on something as complete, and if it's not actually consistent with the work, if in other words, if they're essentially lying and they're saying something is complete but it's not complete, that could be an actual case of fraud.
He told us that the state has withheld money from IEM for not finishing deadlines on time. He questioned their organization of contracts after we showed him those mounting hotel bills, and he also says he was unaware of the homeowners' complaints, saying although the complaint form is on the state's website, the messages were all filed off to IEM to handle.
They're saying they were contacting IEM pretty consistently. They were very happy to see one of our staff or hear from one of our team giving them a phone call. But they are pretty consistently telling us that they've left messages for IEM, not gotten phone calls back for some time.
After this interview, he told us the state would be launching a fraud investigation over the inaccuracies. But then later, the state told us the contractor resolved the issue.
This is simply people weren't watching.
IEM's contract ended with the state on July 25th. The company says about 95% of the projects have been completed.
I feel trapped, lied to, deceived.
And now with a new disaster recovery agency in charge.
This has been life-changing.
Katoya, once again, has a new caseworker.
Did you ever think that 7 years later, this is where you would be?
Oh God, no. Never imagined that this is where I would be.
This here is our kitchen, which I love our kitchen. Refrigerator, and then my little nook there.
Mary finally has the keys, but her home, with 20 steps up to the front door, has been a longer journey than she expected. With a few more surprises.
It's just loose, see?
Along the way.
Handrail? We gotta leave that there.
The fixture is loose.
There's a window here, the door's here, and I have no idea why they would want to put a power box out there.
The meaning of the program is good, but finding out that it was not planned out properly is my only issue.
Some have gotten their keys just to have to move back out.
Was this supposed to be like this?
Rebuild homes repaired just to be torn back down.
Yeah, that's all black mold.
10 Investigate shows how your tax dollars have paid for some projects twice. Next.
So this is just one box. I bought these, I want to say 2 years ago, on sale. They're all different colors. They're red, white, and blue. Everything stays boxed up. I can't get, it's just disgusting. It's okay, because there's people that are in hotel rooms right now, and I'm still in my house.
It's a box full of what should be holiday cheer.
Decorating for Christmas. A half-gutted living room. I put a Christmas tree up the week of Christmas because my husband said, no, we're putting a tree up, because I was like disgusted.
Instead, the thought of it brings Tara Wood to tears.
The last thing I want to do is be standing here right now doing this, okay, for a plethora of reasons. I'm doing this because I don't want other people to have to go through this.
This is Florida's Hurricane Irma rebuild and replacement program's delays. Wood says after the Category 4 storm, she was one of the first to sign up for the rebuild program in 2018. But it wasn't until 2021 that workers started taking the old windows out of her family's home.
This just failed the inspection. So this has failed the inspection. It's not done right.
It's been 6 years and her home?
So yeah, so this is our caution tape that's around there.
A construction site.
When I tell you it, we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot.
Wood is one of the dozens of people who emailed 10 Investigates telling us they were still waiting for Rebuild, a state-run program using $480 million of your tax dollars to repair and replace homes damaged by Hurricane Irma. 4,000 Florida families were given contracts stating once construction began, it would take anywhere from 6 months to a year. Not 6 years and counting.
This is the 7 Mile Bridge.
It's why we hit the road, down to the Florida Keys.
Oh wow, here we are. This is it.
To Tara's home. She says initially, contractors replaced the windows and doors in her Big Pine Key home incorrectly.
The slider upstairs leaked into our living room. This has been gutted since November of 2022.
It's been like this.
It's been like this. This is
All
my half
because
living.
of
Now,
construction
they had
from rebuild contractors.
Correct.
Let's put this on quick.
Just minutes away in Little Torch Key.
I think they only had the smalls. There you go. Stretches a little bit.
It was rebuild contractors who delivered this brand new home that's not even livable.
I mean, you can see the black mold, and it's actively growing.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, this was one of the worst rooms.
That's all mold down there?
Yep.
Tom Kylian says they got the keys in March 2023.
In both showers, you can see the damage here. From day one, they leaked because they didn't connect them properly.
But within a few months, their family moved back out.
Wasted money the state has done.
Mold reports show the place was inundated.
Oh, it's still growing.
This was supposed to be Pamela's mom's home to live out her golden years.
It was her dream. She couldn't believe it when I told her, they're going to build you a house.
She signed paperwork with Rebuild Florida back in 2018. A project they were told in writing would take months, took years.
I'm sorry we ever got involved with Rebuild Florida. You can make me cry. No excuse for how long it took.
It's now too late. Pamela's mom, Gracie, died at age 87, not getting to see the new home.
I miss her.
No more memories.
It wasn't supposed to be like this.
Holidays together.
It certainly wasn't supposed to be like this.
And still no house.
We would have brought her home. This mold would have killed her anyway.
Florida is just one state that's received federal dollars to fix hurricane-impacted homes.
If they're not in a house by that point and it's not resilient, then we're failing as a government entity.
Next, you'll hear from the man who oversaw one of the most successful rebuild programs.
My name is Jay R. Sanderson.
Sanderson is the former director of the South Carolina Disaster Recovery Office. He oversaw one of the country's most successful programs that received federal dollars to repair hurricane-damaged homes.
It's beautiful. I love it.
I want to make sure that low to moderate income people who are at the end of their rope, if you will, with their back up against the wall, they need adequate resilient housing because another storm's going to hit us next year. So if they're not in a house by that point and it's not resilient, then we're failing as a government entity.
He says in 2015, they completed 1,500 homes quickly and efficiently after the state's first disaster under his leadership.
They said it's going to be a couple of more hours and the trailer will be here.
We shared with him the stories of Floridians who have been waiting years, some living in hotels.
I would say that there's a measure of what I would call common sense that has to go into all this.
Is there any accountability when states do fail?
Housing and Urban Development HUD will come down and do a compliance inspection once a year. to almost all their grantees. So that's one part. Most of the pressure that will come on a HUD grantee, though, will come from the press or it'll come from the state legislature.
It's what we're seeing now.
The state, we owe her an apology. I also think we owe it to these individuals.
Senator Chevron Jones sent this letter to the Florida Commerce Secretary. It calls for an audit of the state's third-party contractor, IEM, who won a $252 million contract to oversee all rebuild projects.
Are states putting too much power in these third-party vendors that they're hiring?
Well, I mean, I guess my point would be the state wrote the contract. So the government has the responsibility, the innate responsibility, to hold contractors accountable. In our view, and what we teach, is the state must own the final inspection. So the state comes in, the state owns the damage inspection because we need to know exactly how much it's going to cost, and we need to own the final inspection because we need to know what have we
So
accomplished.
not the third-party vendor.
Not the third party.
The state needs to be doing the final inspection.
Right, that's our view of the world.
Feel like you were lied to?
Oh, very much.
Pamela says that's not what happened here.
Do your job.
Yeah, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Yeah,
You know.
the amount of money that has been spent. I asked them on the phone just this week, how much money is designated for this home? They won't tell me.
They hope things change.
The only people making money here are the contractors.
Yeah.
And that's the way our government is. There's no oversight. They don't care. It's not their money. They didn't earn it. They're not going to live in this house. Nobody's coming to oversee and see how it's being done.
It's certainly Tara's wish.
We can't have Christmas parties, we can't have anything.
Before she has to leave another holiday unboxed.
I don't want somebody else to hang their lives up.
Coming up.
Thank you, thank you.
A little bit of hope.
The window over here is still cracked.
After Jane Moore and her partner spent a year and a half in a hotel room, funded by taxpayers through the Rebuild Florida program, she figured when they returned back home, it would feel like a dream.
And then it goes all the way across like that. It started to pop up.
Instead, it was more of a nightmare.
We were going to get ramps, 3 ramps.
Work that was promised.
From what they're telling me now.
Not done.
This is 3 ramps. You got 1, 2, and then 3.
And the work that did happen?
Yeah, this window, when they came to replace it again, did not fit.
Not done correctly. Her story mirrored those shared on this Facebook page with more than 100 recipients of Rebuild Florida's Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program. They say they feel neglected and no one has been listening.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hey, Justin.
Nice to meet you.
We shared their stories with the top officials at Florida Commerce, the state agency tasked with program oversight.
After we brought you guys these complaints and these findings from contracts, are there things that you guys are doing now differently?
We're on the ground. We're visiting with these homeowners, and we will ensure that if we find anything that we do not think is safe or decent, we will repair it.
Within days of our interview, Jane says her phone rang.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Same for Janet Jackson in Jacksonville. Crews showed up after she had complained for years.
I think if your reporting would not have taken place, I would still be just writing notes, just writing emails. Thank you guys for stepping in to help me and all of the others that you all have helped.
And we know there are still hundreds of homes that need to be either repaired or replaced. For Mary Simpson, she knows 20 steps are not ideal, but she says at least she has a roof over her head and she's just ready to start life's next chapter, hoping it reads nothing like her last. You can watch our entire Rebuild series right now at 10tampabay.com/rebuild. With investigative photojournalist Carter Schumacher and investigative producer Libby Hendren, I'm Jennifer Titus.
New tonight, the United States Office of Inspector General is thanking our 10 Investigates team tonight following the reports regarding a state-run program to help hurricane survivors.
Now, Rebuild Florida's Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program received $252 million from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That money was meant to help the state's most vulnerable homeowners. But as our reporting uncovered, there are questions on whether the funds were used properly. In a statement from the Office of the Inspector General, they tell us, quote, "We greatly appreciate First Coast News, 10 Tampa Bay and Florida homeowners for bringing to our attention allegations of potential fraud affecting the Rebuild Florida program. We encourage all victims of natural disasters to report suspected fraud, waste, or abuse in HUD-funded disaster recovery programs to the Office of Inspector General hotline at this website." Our 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus is here with more on what the OIG had to say. And Jen, you've been uncovering these issues for an entire year now. Is the OIG going to investigate?
Not yet, but what we do know is that they are answering questions brought to them by Florida Congressman John Rutherford, who sent a letter to the OIG after our reporting. The OIG responded to the letter regarding how the funds are spent and the oversight given by saying the OIG has identified a number of specific limitations that HUD faces in assessing grantee compliance with program regulations, and that by design, the program allows grantees to undertake a broad range of activities to address unmet or mitigation needs following a disaster. And that flexibility creates challenges for HUD in overseeing grantees and their sub-recipients. Also, because of that broad authority, HUD also puts the responsibility on the state to make sure states evaluate a contractor's track record when executing contracts involving disaster recovery funds. Of course, that's where we've heard a lot of the complaints coming from. Contractors performing shoddy work and not finishing projects deemed completed. We know there are still people waiting to get back home after Hurricane Irma in 2017. The state says projects should be completed by December 31st, but after talking to some recipients today, they say that is not going to happen. We'll, of course, keep you updated. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigate.
Ongoing problems for Florida homeowners who signed up for a state-run program to fix their hurricane-ravaged homes. It's been 6 years now since the state said they would help, and with the deadline approaching for homes to be complete, they are asking for the federal government to step in. Here's 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus with the latest installment of Still Waiting for Rebuild.
Their people broke the glass.
It's problem?
I don't trust anything they did.
After problem.
The gutters, they had to replace them because their roofers destroyed my original gutters, which were fine. I never had this problem ever in 30 years. I mean, it's insane. I got a whole freaking garden up there.
From the outside of Denise Rodolant's home.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
To the inside.
They stuck this in a hole where the light was. Like, I'm not going to notice. It's a fake dummy, whatever. You know, this is the kind of stuff they thought would pass.
She says her home was damaged by Hurricane Irma in 2017. And that's what led her to sign up for the state's Rebuild Florida Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program.
In my bedroom, there was a live wire.
Never did she think the program meant to fix her problems would only create even more struggle.
I could have fixed my house for a fraction of what they've built. 2 pods, hotel rooms, you know, all this money they've spent on no work being done here.
She says she's been warning Florida Commerce, formerly known as the Department of Economic Opportunity, or DEO, for years that shoddy work was being done on her home.
I call the guy at DEO and he just sends my complaint back to, nobody wants the responsibility. No one says the buck stops here. There's no one.
All while she says this isn't the only battle she is fighting.
I lost 4 inches of height. My vertebrae collapsed. Multiple myeloma is a blood cancer that eats your bones. Stress is the #1 bad thing. And guess what I've got nonstop? Stress.
Stress. She can't seem to stop when her home is still not livable.
There's no oversight. I don't even know how that's possible. Who owns a business that doesn't have somebody check the checks and balances with the accounting? You know, and then when you've got people making complaints, repetitive complaints from different people, the same, nobody's checking anything.
It's the same complaints Debbie Pardon brought to us.
Do you think that if they would have prioritized better, that this could have been better for not only the recipients, but just the use of taxpayer money in general, if they actually prioritized?
Definitely. Most definitely. You know, there should be a time period, a legit time period for people to be out of their homes. There shouldn't be months going by for us to be in a hotel and displaced that no work is being done.
While Debbie has moved back into her home, she says it did not include one essential item.
So if I would have known that central air was not in the scope of work, and it was talked to through 14 different project managers that we had in 2 years, which is crazy, it definitely would have been in the scope of work as far as I'm concerned. We kept getting yes, yes, yes from everyone, and nothing was going on as far as the AC goes.
She says her home had 3 window units prior to construction, but they were destroyed during the storm. She replaced one and borrowed one from a friend.
They noted that. They didn't offer to replace any of the units. And like I said, we kept getting, yes, you're going to get central air, yes, and it never happened.
Both Debbie and Denise showed us contracts where change orders for their projects continued to increase, but the quality and promises, they say, remained broken.
I mean, the way they have destroyed people's lives with their arrogance and greed. It's unbelievable to me that there's nobody that you could even go to. Nobody's being held accountable. And these guys are like walking off with lots of money in their pockets and then totally screwing the victims. And I really thought they were here to help us.
And help could be coming, as we now have not just state lawmakers, but federal lawmakers asking how your taxpayer money was spent to help hurricane victims. And it's all because of our stories and the recipients of the program continuing to share their stories. You can watch our entire investigation, Waiting for Rebuild, streaming right now on 10 Tampa Bay Plus. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
New details tonight following 10 Investigates' year-long investigation into concerns with a state-run program that helps hurricane victims repair or replace their homes. A subcontractor who worked on Rebuild Florida homes himself is speaking out after he alleges he witnessed fraud firsthand. He even admitted that shoddy work was done on some of these homes, including Denise Rodelant home that we showed you last night. 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus shows us how, and Jen, this homeowner showed us a number of problems.
When we interviewed her, she told us she had concerns with her contractor, so we reached out to the Attorney General's office to see if anyone else had complained about the company. They sent us this one complaint where fraud is written multiple times. The person who sent it, a laborer who worked for the subcontractor. So we reached out and he agreed to share his story.
It was a mess from the beginning.
Jason Wall was a laborer, he says, on Denise Rodelante's Rebuild Florida project.
See how hard it is? It should not be that hard.
He sent us pay stubs confirming he was paid by the subcontractor.
I mean, it's insane. I got a whole freaking garden up there.
We visited Denise's home last month where she showed us problems.
Their roofers destroyed my original gutters.
From the outside,
almost every single one of their doorknobs has fallen off.
To the inside.
This is the kind of stuff they thought would pass.
Where she says shoddy work was performed.
In my bedroom, there was a live wire.
Jason Wall agrees it was shoddy.
Very shoddy, like I said. I've been doing this for 25 years of my life, been in construction my whole life. I'm 46 now, so I know the proper ways, the proper procedures, all the codes and whatnot, and none of them were met. The windows weren't put in correctly. They weren't sealed correctly. And a couple places, they weren't even the correct window, to be honest with you.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Complaints about shoddy work with Rebuild Florida contractors have been coming into 10 Investigates for months by dozens of people.
New insulation was stuck in the roof to cover it up, drywall covered over it. It was one of the more shoddy jobs, and quite a few of them were shoddy when I worked for them.
It's the first time, though, we are hearing from someone who's worked on a project.
I believe that the program may have been good. The contractors are just the wrong contractors, in my opinion.
I call the guy at DEO, and he just sends my complaint back to, nobody wants the responsibility. No one says the buck stops here. There's no one.
We reached out to the state about the complaints from Denise and Jason, and they have yet to get back to us. But in May, when we first sat down with the head of Florida Commerce, the agency overseeing Florida's Rebuild program, we asked him whether or not they are investigating any companies. He told us that IEM, the disaster recovery agency that won a $250 million contract from the state to oversee Rebuild Florida contracts, were supposed to be making sure projects were completed correctly.
I want to add too, if our contractor signed off on something as complete,
And if it's not actually consistent with the work, in other words, if they're essentially lying and they're saying something is complete but it's not complete, that could be an actual case of fraud.
Wall is adamant that the contractors hired by Rebuild Florida on taxpayer money are investigated.
I personally would not have done her job that way. I wouldn't have done her that way personally. So I want her to understand that I personally had no control over it, and I'm very sorry it turned out that way.
And we did reach out to the contractor that Wall worked for. He told us over the phone that Wall was a disgruntled employee and the work that his company did passed inspections. The contractor, though, went on to say that there were homes in the program he believed should have been torn down, not replaced, and that many of the homes they worked on, their hands were tied with what work was able to be done inside. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
It's been nearly 8 years now since Hurricane Irma ravaged homes across Florida. Some of those homes have yet to be replaced by a Florida agency that promised to help those in need.
For the past year, 10 Investigates has highlighted the problems with the Rebuild Florida Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program. One woman has no home, just an empty lot.
And she says with no answers from state officials, she has turned to a group of volunteers she's hoping can help. Here's 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus.
It may not look like much, but an empty lot is supposed to be home for Wendy Aguiar.
I've owned it for more than 2 years.
Not to mention, she's been paying HOA fees on the property for 3 years.
They have us trimming trees when it's hurricane season because we're residents there. And they keep saying, "Where's your home?"
It's where Rebuild Florida was supposed to set up her new mobile home. Back in 2019, Wendy signed up for the Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program after her home was damaged by the 2017 storm.
They came, did measurements, inspections, photos, and so forth. I received my letter on January 23 of 2020 saying that the decision was a total replacement.
She says after back and forth with Rebuild officials and the owners of the community where her home was damaged,
we encountered an issue because I live in a land lease community.
The owner of the park didn't want Rebuild to replace her home there.
So Rebuild Florida offered us an option and they said, "We'll just get you a home in the same park." After a month, we fell in love with our dream home in here.
She thought her journey was done, but then she got a call from Rebuild.
And it was a go until they discovered that HUD didn't allow them to offer us that option.
So that's when she found this lot.
It was about 2.5 years all over the state of Florida looking for land that was affordable.
In a town hours away from where she works and lives.
That was in Moorhaven, Florida. I got it for roughly $11,000.
But she says she had no other choice if it meant living in a home that was safe.
I had to empty my 401k.
But after years of dealing with the program,
my son at the time was a minor and I wanted him to have a better life, a room that wasn't full of black mold. Now he's 23 years old. He was almost 17 when we were approved.
She says a filing error deemed her inactive.
Which I'm not. I have paperwork to substantiate.
She spent more than a year now trying to get answers.
Back in August, they were supposed to get back to me. Representatives are hired to do a job. And I don't see that that's happening.
So she turned to Seniors versus Crime.
It was a program begun in 1989, and it was designed to educate seniors about problems that they might run into being senior citizens, taking advantage of, maybe frauds. And it's since morphed into 32 offices around the state where we actually take complaints from people of any age and try to resolve them.
John Caravella is an office manager for the Gainesville office.
There's probably thousands of complaints.
Some of those complaints recently include Wendy's asking for help with the Rebuild Florida program.
We know that it seems to be a lot of money thrown at a problem that went awry. We've received complaints from citizens where they've been waiting years to try and get either back into their house after an attempt to rebuild it or a replacement. And sometimes the ball is dropped completely and these people never hear from anyone after some shoddy work has been done.
That's why Caravella sent this letter to Alex Kelly, the Secretary of Florida Commerce, the agency that oversees Rebuild Florida.
To try and get at least the avenues of communication open with him, his office, and the complainants that we have.
Are you hoping that they get some sort of help or fix from the vendor or somebody from the state?
Absolutely. One of the concerns I have is if there's fraud in this, and it potentially might be criminal fraud, but we don't really pursue criminal matters.
Wendy feels like she's pursued all her options.
The contracts are one-sided. I don't see what's happening as legitimate. I see the whole thing as a fraud.
She's hoping any help she can get will be one step closer to turning this empty lot into her home.
And I just want accountability at this point.
Now, everyone that works with Seniors versus Crimes are all volunteers. They can't take any legal action. But of course, we know multiple agencies are looking into the Rebuild Florida program and complaints like Wendy's. We are still trying to talk with the Florida Commerce Secretary because once again, they have pushed back the deadline for when those homes are supposed to be completed. We will let you know if and when we hear back. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
New at 11, a year after we started investigating a Florida program to help hurricane victims repair or replace their homes, the U.S. Office of Inspector General just announced it is auditing the Rebuild Florida program. The OIG's office says it has notified Florida Commerce that this audit is beginning. The program is funded with federal dollars through a housing and urban development grant. This audit will focus on the Hurricane Irma program and will likely include recommendations to help the state of Florida improve the way it delivers services. We've uncovered homeowners waiting years for their homes to be finished in some cases, dozens of them still tonight waiting, as well as questionable spending of taxpayer money on hotel rooms and shoddy work. You can see all of our investigative reports on the Rebuild Florida program on our website right now. Just head to firstcoastnews.com/rebuild.
It has been a year since our investigative team first told you about problems with the state-funded program to help hurricane victims. Floridians whose homes were damaged by Hurricane Irma in 2017 say they are still waiting to move back home, while others say their homes are considered complete, but the construction is shoddy. 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus is fighting for answers tonight as more homeowners waiting for rebuild are coming forward saying their homes are far from complete.
That's all supposed to be new.
This does not look new.
No.
Walking around John Vargas's property,
It's dented in at the bottom.
it is not hard to spot
This is the hilarious part too, because we all know everything's supposed to hang off.
what he calls
The doors aren't lined up.
shoddy construction.
It is literally cracking as we're looking at it.
The problems even identified in this report by a private inspector John hired, from incorrect roof installation to the wrong materials used to a hole in the siding.
They just painted this a couple of weeks ago.
And now
It's rusting.
the home all paid for by taxpayers.
Every program has a series of checks and balances in it. And unfortunately, Rebuild Florida doesn't have any checks and balances.
John Vargas signed a contract with the Florida Rebuild Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program back in 2021.
They asked me a bunch of questions. One of them was the fact, with the SBA loans, how much did FEMA give you? And they said, okay, do this, do this, do this. And that was it. Next thing you know, I'm in the program.
This is what's left of my bedroom, and there's literally a flood.
With the extent of damage done to his home by Hurricane Irma, his home was demoed and a new home was to be built.
It was alluded to maybe about a year, no more.
But after 3 years of living in a hotel,
Home and Suites.
that was home.
That was home. Room 517.
Just before Christmas, he finally got this email from Rebuild Florida saying his home was complete and he had just days to move out of his hotel room and into his home. Did you ever think you'd be sitting here first month of 2025, not moved in yet?
No.
Because he says once he got here, he noticed problems. So that's bent.
All of them are bent. There isn't a corner straight on this house.
He won't even step foot inside, knowing from the outside that the project is far from complete.
They just plugged the hole with something just to fill it.
He did let our cameras look inside, where we quickly noticed flooring that was curled and granite improperly installed. The problems identified in this report from a private inspector, noting incorrect installation for the wood-burning stove and water intrusion in the ceiling.
If it looks like this on the outside, imagine what they did inside.
The county inspector even marking the home as disapproved, writing, "There are a laundry list of issues with this building."
I'm not a contractor, I'm not a builder. I'm the first to say that. But it's not supposed to look like that from what I've seen online.
The program received $480 million from the federal government to replace or repair nearly 4,000 Floridians' homes damaged following Irma. More than 100 families still wait to move in, while dozens of others are waiting for the completed construction done to be fixed.
It's a free-for-all for these contractors. It should be managed like any other government entity.
we emailed Florida Commerce, the agency in charge of the rebuild program. These are all the emails to Florida Commerce. Yeah, that's just one chain. Asking for another sit-down interview with the director, Alex Kelly. When he talked with us last May, he promised problems would get fixed and said all homes would be completed by July. We asked every single time, like, we need another interview, and I think they just ignored us until that time, till we finally told them that we were coming up there. But even after we told them we'd be in Tallahassee, they told us he was not available, and the Florida Commerce team has been in regular contact with these individuals and has worked hard to address their concerns. They went on to say that Mr. Vargas's home was completed. His project was a reconstruction, not a full rebuild, adding he has had the ability to move into his home since December 2024. But remember, his home was a full rebuild. These photos of his home being demolished prove it. When we wrote back asking about the final inspection and the claim of reconstruction, they never responded.
There needs to be oversight. First of all, there needs to be a major investigation.
And while Florida Commerce wouldn't sit down and talk to us, lawmakers did what they say needs to happen so there's better oversight for recipients of the program and the use of taxpayer money. That story tomorrow night at 11. For now, I'm Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
Heartache this past year for a Hillsborough County family after the property flooded not once, not twice, but 3 times. They're recipients of the Rebuild Florida Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program. They say the program promised them one key thing, but as 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus has learned, that didn't happen.
It's emotional to finally say I got a home. This is our bedroom. I got my own bathroom. I got my own kitchen. Everything is mine. I'm not in a motel. It's great.
Just months after Mary Simpson moved into her new home, hurricane season hit and hit hard.
The flood came up enough that it damaged some of the stuff inside the storage, so we had to throw away some beds, furniture. Luckily, I had someone donate again, and which we kept in storage till I could go through and get them. We got ahead again. Then the third one, the one that really has had me in tears. That's Hunter. Mommy will be home every day.
Mary Simpson was a recipient of the Rebuild Florida Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program. The program received $480 million to fix homes following the 2017 storm. Rebuild said they would replace her home, and it would only take about a year.
Judy, are they here for the trailer, Judy?
But 1 year turned into several. She didn't get the keys to her new home until 2024.
When we were in the planning stages, the first part of the contracts, when we were told to pick out what we wanted and how we wanted, they also said, well, you'll also be getting 1 year of insurance, flood insurance.
So when her new home suffered damage from the rising water, she knew she'd be okay.
The first storm of the season back, I believe, was August, September.
She called her Rebuild Florida representative, and what they told her, she still can't believe.
I thought I didn't have to worry about insurance, and then, what do you mean I don't have? What do you mean?
We dug into Mary's award letter from the Department of Economic Opportunity, now called Florida Commerce. The letter says Rebuild Florida will assist homeowners by paying for the first year's flood insurance premium.
I said, I need a copy of my flood insurance. I need to present it to FEMA. I said, no, I needed it now. I said, you don't understand. I've lost stuff. She says, all I can tell you is that you do not have insurance, and we ran out of money.
We continued to dig, even finding this document on Florida Commerce's own website that says if your property qualifies, the Rebuild Florida Housing Repair and Replacement Program will provide the first year of flood insurance at no charge to the resident. So then we emailed Florida Commerce asking them what's going on. Their reply, Ms. Simpson's home was completed in July of 2024. According to Ms. Simpson's homeowner grant agreement that was signed in October of 2020, the homeowner is responsible for maintaining flood insurance on their property. We even sent them Mary's award letter that contradicts that. They never responded back. As part of their initial statement, they also told us that if the coverage lapses, the property will not be eligible for assistance from any future federal disaster recovery assistance. Which is unfortunately what Mary is learning.
Give these a good mix.
With nowhere else to turn, she reached out to FEMA for help and got this letter in response saying, your application is not currently approved for the following assistance. You did not maintain required flood insurance.
Furniture that meant a lot, that was personal to us. We ended up losing TVs and then rugs, beds. Beds are not really all that easy to replace. A china cabinet.
And how she's going to protect the property she waited for years to get back home.
You didn't keep what you promised me that was in writing. And I've been all this time, since I've been with you since 2018, been doing my part and trying to keep up on my end, and you failed me on insurance, the most important thing of living where we live.
And we've reached out to Florida Commerce again, asking about Mary's flood insurance and others' flood insurance coverage who are in the program. We are hearing the same stories as Mary's. They have yet to get back to us and continue to deny our interview request. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
His company got millions of taxpayer dollars to help hurricane victims replace or rebuild their homes. But one homeowner says that contractor left his home filled with a laundry list of problems, even failing county inspections. The company, all part of the Rebuild Florida program. In an investigation you will only see on 10 Tampa Bay, that contractor coming face to face with a local licensing board facing allegations of fraud and improper installation. Here's Jennifer Titus.
Yeah, they kind of fixed it up. They did a really good job.
Walking around John Vargas's home in April.
Actually, siding looks really good.
Looks a lot different than when we met him there in January. Dents, holes, and even doors have all been fixed after the county found the home failed inspection 3 different times.
I can't go into it at all. The certificate of occupancy was permanently revoked, and it will not be reissued until it passes inspection.
The biggest problem from the initial inspection, the wood-burning stove installed incorrectly.
No, this is dangerous, very dangerous.
It's why the contractor and owner of DSW Homes, Paul Judson, came before the Hillsborough County Licensing Board to face the allegations.
Failed to install a wood-burning stove in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and has exhibited evidence of fraud, deceit, gross negligence, incompetency, or misconduct in the practice of contracting.
DSW Homes is part of the Rebuild Florida program. They received the contract to rebuild for Vargas's home after it was destroyed by Hurricane Irma. We've also uncovered they didn't just rebuild Vargas's home, they received tens of millions of dollars to repair or replace homes destroyed by Hurricane Irma.
As part of Rebuild Florida, we've probably done over 500 homes and all over the state. Yeah. And these are all homes where people have lost what they have. They're generally high-stress projects.
Properties in a program that even those on the Hillsborough County Licensing Board we're not familiar with.
Would you explain what Rebuild Florida is? Well, it's a CDBG-DR grant. They rebuilt or rehabilitated thousands of homes for homeowners who lost their homes or their homes were damaged and they didn't have the means to repair or replace their homes.
As 10 Investigates has reported over the past year, we've spoken with dozens of homeowners all across the state who say their homes are far from complete after the 2017 storm devastated their homes, including Vargas's.
It sounds like this is a calamity of errors on this house. Yeah, there's definitely some things that went wrong, and we went in and like I said, I never shirked my responsibility.
And while Judson says he's owned up to the problems at the property, those on the board even questioned why the project that was only supposed to take 6 months instead took years to complete.
Started in 22 and just now finished. So I'm not sure why that is.
But the board decided that although they believed he was guilty of improper installation, they didn't suspend or take away his license.
So you upholding the citation or denying the citation? I'll uphold the citation.
We caught up with Judson after the meeting.
How do taxpayers know
I can't talk to you.
that
I'm sorry.
just about any of the homes, the construction, that the construction is good?
I'm sorry. I don't think I should be talking to you. My contract's with the state of Florida, and they've asked that all media attention go to them.
We've taken questions about continued delays, shoddy work, contractor payments to Florida Commerce, the state agency that oversees the Rebuild Florida program. And they have yet to answer our questions since sitting down with us a year ago.
There's not an invoice that's paid that's not scrutinized carefully.
Rebuild needs to be held accountable for their contractors. Bottom line, they're not. They pass it on to everybody and their mother. You know, everybody passes the blame game, but ultimately they're the ones that hired them. They're the ones that gave them the contracts, and they should have someone that oversees them.
And believe it or not, after 7 years, John's home is finally complete. The stove's been fixed, and his house has finally passed all inspections. So he tells me he will be moving in next week, a process he never thought, of course, would take this long. You can find our Waiting for Rebuild special and other stories we've done on this program on 10 Tampa Bay Plus. Just scroll down to the Investigate section under the News tab. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
We are officially into another hurricane season, but as our investigative team has shared with you over the past year, there are still dozens of homeowners who lost their homes in Hurricane Irma in 2017, still waiting to get back home.
Yeah, the storm damaged the home of a woman in Polk County who tells us Rebuild Florida workers knocked on her door and promised her a new home. Instead, she says the state-run program has left her homeless. As 10 Investigates, Jennifer Titus shows you she's still waiting for rebuild.
Among the overgrown grass and cement pad sits an empty lot that since 2015, Zolma Cornier called home.
My house was destroyed by Hurricane Irma.
But after Hurricane Irma blew through and damaged her home, the roof needed to be replaced and there was water damage inside. Zolma says it was shortly after that she got a knock on her door. People with Rebuild Florida told her they could help.
They came to inquire about my house.
The Rebuild Florida Hurricane Irma Repair and Replacement Program is a state-run program that was given nearly $480 million from the federal government to fix nearly 2,000 homes damaged by the storm.
They were the ones who did it all. They checked everything. They were the ones who filled out all the paperwork.
Zolma says Rebuild Florida told her the home was too damaged to be rebuilt, so they would demolish it and bring her a brand new one. Documents show the contract was signed in 2019.
How long did they tell you the process was going to take until you were going to get a new home?
They told me it would take about a year and a half. But now it's been years that have passed and they've done nothing.
But here we are today in 2025 and the 80-year-old has no home. We obtained photos showing that after the demolition of her new home, a new mobile home was brought in, but it was too large, they say. So they were told to find another lot, which they did just across the street at a new park.
And then they took all my belongings and I don't know where they have them. They took everything in my house.
We reached out to Florida Commerce, who oversees the Rebuild Florida program, about Zolma's case, and they told us by email she is no longer in the program, but wouldn't provide us with details as to why. Zolma, though, did, sending us emails dating back to October, where Zolma told them that her new park manager did not approve of the floor plan for the trailer. Florida Commerce emailed her back saying the contractor was in contact with the park manager. The next email came in February, where Florida Commerce told her that the unit meets program guidelines and that she was in breach of contract for failing to provide them with her completed application to the new park.
It's affected many things, my health. I take pills daily now to control my nerves. I have a bunch of concerns. This has me very concerned. And I cry now. I'm depressed because after having my little house and to lose it that way, I miss my house.
She says that's what keeps her up at night, an empty lot that once housed her home. A home, she says, was taken away after workers with Rebuild Florida knocked on her door, making promises that have not been kept.
I didn't go looking for the program or any help. They're the ones who stopped by.
And Rebuild Florida also says what we are being told is not true, but wouldn't give us any more information, saying they can't talk specifics, although they have in the past. The property manager of the new lot also says the spot is being held for her new home. We also reached out to lawmakers in Polk County to see if they can help. Again, this is just one of the dozens of stories we've told you about Rebuild Florida recipients across the state. Watch all of our investigations streaming now on 10 Tampa Bay Plus. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.